God's timing is about to make you cry. There comes a moment in every journey when heaven's clock strikes in your favor, and the weight of years collapses into a single instant that changes everything. You've prayed, you've wrestled, you've waited in the silent corridors of uncertainty, wondering if God even heard you. You've watched others receive their breakthrough while you quietly carried the ache of when will it be my turn? But I tell you, the turn of your life is not measured by the ticking of earthly seconds, but by the divine rhythm of God's appointed time. And when his timing arrives, it does not tap gently. It floods every dry place in your life with such overwhelming goodness that you can barely stand under the weight of it. You will cry not from despair, but from the shock of seeing what you once only dared to imagine take form before your eyes. What has been slow will suddenly be swift. What was hidden will suddenly be visible. And what felt delayed will prove to be right on time. God's timing is about to touch you so deeply that the only response left will be tears of awe. The appointed hour cannot be missed. There is an hour already etched into the fabric of your destiny, a moment ordained before you took your first breath, when everything you have been believing for, longing for, and praying for will unfold before your eyes, not a second too early and not a second too late. It is the appointed hour, and no force in heaven or on earth can move it out of place. You may have felt the sting of delay, the ache of unanswered prayers, and the silent weight of waiting, but you must understand waiting is not a punishment. It is the refining process of divine precision. God's timing is not random. It is a masterful weaving of every detail, every connection, every hidden alignment until the unseen puzzle is complete. Think of it as the exact moment a fruit is ready to be picked. If you pluck it too soon, it is bitter. If you leave it too long, it withers. God does not deal in spoiled blessings. He deals in perfect timing, and when the appointed hour arrives, it does not creep in quietly. It rushes in like a flood, sweeping away years of struggle in a single wave of fulfillment. This is why you cannot afford to despise the waiting season, because in the unseen, the orchestration of your breakthrough is being conducted with divine precision. What looks like stillness to you is movement in realms you cannot see. God is aligning people, positioning opportunities, even shifting hearts, not only yours, but the hearts of those who will play a part in your blessing. The appointed hour is like the striking of a great clock. No matter how much you stare at its hands, willing it to move faster, it will not strike before its set time. But the beauty is this: once the clock strikes, nothing can stop the sound from ringing out. You cannot miss it, and no one can take it from you. This is the security you must hold to in the midst of doubt. Your appointed moment is not hanging by a fragile thread of chance. It is anchored in the unshakable will of God. When you understand this, you begin to release the desperation that drives people to force outcomes before they are ready. How many times have we all tried to push doors open, only to discover we were not yet prepared to walk through them? The frustration you feel in waiting is often God's mercy in disguise, keeping you from stepping into something prematurely and losing the very thing you prayed for. There is a holy protection in his delay, a safeguarding of your future that you will only understand when you look back and see how all the pieces fit together. If you could see what God sees, the ripple effect of every choice, the chain reaction of every connection, you would never again question his timing. You would stand still in peace, knowing that the appointed hour is set, sealed, and unstoppable. The greatest temptation in the waiting is to believe you have been overlooked. But hear this: you are not overlooked. You are being overprepared. The appointed hour is not just about the event. It is about you being ready to carry the blessing without breaking under its weight. God is not only preparing what is coming to you, he is preparing you for what is coming. Every trial, every delay, every closed door is shaping you into the person who will not just receive the promise, but sustain it. Because it is not enough for the blessing to arrive. You must have the character, the strength, and the vision to steward it well. This is why the waiting feels long, because your destiny is too important to be handed to an unready version of you. And here is the mystery: when the appointed hour comes, it will often feel sudden. The shift will be so swift, so complete, that it will seem as if it came out of nowhere. Others will look at you and say, "How did it happen so fast?" They will not see the years of prayer, the hidden tears, the silent battles that prepared you for this moment. They will not understand that what looked sudden was actually the fulfillment of a process that had been unfolding all along. To them, it will appear as a miracle overnight. To you, it will feel like a homecoming to a promise you always knew was yours. This is the paradox of divine timing. It takes a long time to suddenly happen. You must anchor your heart in the truth that the appointed hour cannot be missed. This is not a matter of luck or chance. The hands that hold your destiny do not drop what they carry. The schedule of heaven is not disrupted by the chaos of earth. Even when you cannot trace his hand, you can trust his clock. You may be in a season where it feels like nothing is moving, but let me remind you, God often works most when you see the least. Roots grow deepest in darkness, and the foundation of your blessing is being laid in hidden places. By the time it emerges, it will be unshakable. The danger is in growing weary and abandoning the place of expectation too soon. Many people walk away from the field just before the harvest. They grow tired of watering seeds that show no sign of life, not realizing that underground a transformation is taking place. This is why you must not only wait, but wait in faith, holding on to the unseen promise with the same joy as if it had already arrived. Because in the realm of faith it already has. Time is simply catching up to what God has already spoken over you. Think of the appointed hour as a divine appointment written in eternity. It does not matter who tries to stand in the way, who doubts you, who walks away, or who refuses to believe. The moment God says now, the entire universe shifts to make room for it. Laws bend, doors open, hearts change, and paths straighten, all to deliver what was always yours. No enemy can intercept it, no mistake can cancel it, and no delay can destroy it. The appointed hour will find you, even if it has to reach across oceans, break through walls, or resurrect what you thought was dead. So while you wait, do not let impatience steal your peace. Do not measure your progress by how quickly things seem to be happening. Instead, measure your faith by how deeply you can rest, knowing that God's clock is never late. The truth is, the moment you align your heart with this reality, you step out of the torment of worry and into the calm assurance of trust. And trust has a way of accelerating what anxiety delays. When you are no longer desperate for the blessing, but grateful for the process, you signal to heaven that you are ready, and readiness has a way of drawing the appointed hour closer. You may not see the signs yet, but trust me, the hour is approaching. There will come a day, perhaps soon, when you wake up expecting nothing different, and before the sun sets, your life will have shifted. You will hear the knock on the door, the phone call, the message, the opportunity, the yes you have been waiting for. And in that moment, every second of waiting will make sense. You will see that nothing was wasted, not a single tear, not a single prayer, not a single lonely night. It was all leading you to this exact moment in time, so hold your head high, not as one who is unsure, but as one who knows their appointment is secure. The appointed hour cannot be missed because it was written for you. And when it comes, you will not have to fight for it, force it, or prove yourself worthy of it. It will simply arrive, and when it does, you will stand in the middle of it with tears streaming down your face, whispering, "It was worth the wait." The inner completion precedes the outer manifestation before the world around you bends to reflect the promise. The world within you must already be living in it. Every outward manifestation is nothing more than the shadow cast by an inner reality that has already been accepted, embraced, and fully possessed in the mind and heart. This is the great secret of answered prayer. It happens inside first. You cannot hold in your hands what you have not first held in your spirit. If you wait for the physical evidence before you allow yourself to believe, you will wait endlessly, because faith is the seed and reality is its harvest. The soil of the outer world responds only to the seeds sown in the unseen realm of thought and imagination. Until the moment you stop merely wishing for your blessing and begin dwelling in the certainty of it, feeling it, seeing it, walking as if it is already yours, the outer world will not move. But the instant you decide in the depths of your being that what you have asked for is done, the outer conditions begin rearranging themselves to make it visible. It is not that the outer is slow, It is that the inner often hesitates to claim its completion. You must claim it now, not later, not someday, but now, because in God's reality it is already done. The mistake many make is trying to create change by manipulating the outer world, as if the effect could be altered without touching the cause. You can rearrange the furniture of your life all you want, but if the inner blueprint remains the same, the outer pattern will eventually revert. True change is not about force, but about alignment, aligning the inner state with the desired outer condition until there is no separation between the two. And this alignment is not a vague hope or empty affirmation. It is a deep and settled knowing that cannot be shaken by temporary appearances. You may look around right now and see nothing to suggest your breakthrough is near, but appearances are nothing more than old echoes of past inner states. The moment you change the inner atmosphere, the echo changes too, and soon the sound of your new reality will fill the outer world. The outer is nothing but a mirror. It has no power of its own except to reflect what you hold within. This is why the work of faith is invisible to others. They see you praying, declaring, waiting, but they cannot see the shifts happening in the secret chambers of your mind. They cannot feel the moments when you finally let go of fear and doubt, when you begin to taste the joy of the answered prayer as if it had already been delivered. That moment of inner completion is the moment everything truly changes, even if no one else notices. In the unseen, a door swings open. In the spirit, the blessing is released. From that point forward, the outer manifestation is inevitable. You may still have to walk through days or weeks or months before you see it with your eyes, but in truth, the journey is already over. You are simply walking toward the place where the unseen becomes visible. To reach inner completion, you must learn to dwell in the end. This means living as if your desired outcome has already happened, feeling the relief, the gratitude, the joy, as if you were already there. Not faking it, not pretending, but allowing your imagination to be so vivid that the body responds as if the event is real. When you can close your eyes and not just see but feel the weight of the keys to your new home in your hand, when you can feel the warmth of the embrace from the loved one restored to you, when you can hear the sound of your name being called in celebration, then you have moved into the state where manifestation begins. This inner dwelling is not daydreaming. It is the creative act of faith, the same process by which God spoke worlds into existence. And here is the truth that will set you free. Once you are complete inside, nothing outside can stop the fulfillment. Resistance only works on those who are still waiting to see before they believe. But once you have seen within, the outer world has no choice but to comply. It may come through channels you expect or through paths you never imagined, but it must come because the inner cause has already been set in motion. This is why two people can pray for the same thing and receive different results. One prays from a place of lack, hoping for a change, while the other prays from a place of fullness, knowing the change is already real in the unseen. The difference is not in God's willingness, but in the inner state of the one asking. If you doubt this, look at your own life. Every time something new entered your reality, it first existed within you in some form: a dream, a conviction, an expectation you refused to let go of. You may not have called it manifestation then, but you were already living in the law of inner completion. This is why God so often works on you before he works on your circumstances. He changes the way you see, the way you think, the way you expect, because the new reality cannot take root in the soil of an old mindset. Sometimes he will even strip away outer evidence, allowing you to walk through seasons where you have nothing to lean on but the vision within, so that your faith is no longer dependent on what you see. It is in these seasons that the inner completion is forged, where you become unshakable because you know you already hold the answer, even if your hands are still empty. The shift from hoping to knowing is the turning point. Hope is beautiful, but it leaves room for doubt. Knowing leaves no room at all. When you know, you no longer beg for the outcome, you thank God for it, you rest in it, you carry yourself as one who already has it. Your words change, your posture changes, even your energy changes, and people can feel it without you saying a word. Opportunities begin to gravitate toward you, not because you are chasing them, but because you are aligned with the state where they belong. The inner completion pulls the outer into place like a magnet. You are no longer trying to force reality to change. You are simply living in the reality you already know is yours, and in time the outer must catch up. Some will call this delusion, but let them talk. They only see with physical eyes. They do not understand that everything visible was once invisible. The car you drive, the building you work in, the clothes you wear, all of it began as a thought in someone's mind. The invisible precedes the visible, always. To live in the end is to live in harmony with how creation actually works. And here is the wonder when the outer finally manifests. It feels strangely familiar. You do not react with disbelief because you have already lived it 1,000 times in your inner world. You simply smile and think, yes, this is exactly how it was meant to be. So if you are waiting for your breakthrough, stop waiting in the outer sense and start living in the inner completion. Visit the place in your mind where the promise is already fulfilled and stay there until it feels like home. Speak from that place, pray from that place, make decisions from that place, and when doubt creeps in, return there again, because that is where the real work is done. The outer manifestation is nothing but the echo. The song is already playing inside you. Once you complete the melody within, the world will hear it too. And when it comes, you will realize that the waiting was never about God deciding whether to bless you. It was about you deciding to fully receive what was already given. God's timing feels like suddenly, but it was always certain when the moment finally comes. It will feel like it happened in the blink of an eye, like the sky split open and poured out every answer you had been aching for. People will look at you with wide eyes and say, wow, that happened so suddenly. But you will know in the secret chambers of your heart that this moment was anything but sudden. You will remember the years of prayers whispered in the dark, the nights when you fought to believe in the promise while everything around you screamed the opposite. You will remember the countless times you felt invisible, the moments when nothing seemed to move and yet somehow you kept holding on. This is the paradox of God's timing. It always looks instant to the outside world, but to you, it is the climax of a story that began long before anyone was watching. Just because the world sees it all of a sudden doesn't mean God just thought of it. He wrote this moment into your life before you were born. The sudden is simply the moment when eternity breaks into time, when what was always certain in heaven becomes visible on earth. This is why you cannot judge the speed of your journey by the surface of your circumstances. The surface often looks still when the greatest movements are happening underneath. Think of seeds buried in the soil for months. There is no sign of growth, yet deep in the dark, life is pushing, stretching, preparing to break through. The day the first green shoot appears, the casual observer may think it happened overnight, but the gardener knows better. That one moment of visibility was the result of a long, unseen process, and so it is with you. Every sudden blessing has roots that run deep into seasons of preparation, endurance, and faith. You are not waiting for God to decide. You are walking toward the place where His already decided plan intersects with your readiness and the perfect alignment of conditions. The beauty of this divine suddenly is that it has a way of erasing the memory of delay. In the moment of fulfillment, the weight of waiting dissolves into gratitude so intense that the pain of the past feels like a faint echo. The tears you cried in frustration will return, but this time as tears of awe. You will see how God's hand had been moving all along, weaving connections, orchestrating timing, and closing doors that you didn't realize would have led you into harm. You will realize that if it had come earlier, you might not have been ready to hold it, or it might not have been fully formed to bless you the way it will now. That understanding will shift something deep inside you. You will no longer see delay as punishment, but as precision. You will no longer see silence as absence, but as sacred preparation. This is why you must not grow bitter in the waiting, because the day is coming when the speed of your blessing will take your breath away. It will happen in such a way that you will say, I was just here in the same place, feeling like nothing was changing, and now everything has shifted. The phone call will come, the email will arrive. The opportunity will appear, the person will step into your life, the chains will break, the no will turn into a yes, and it will happen in such a way that you will have to take a deep breath just to steady yourself. The acceleration will be so intense that you will wonder how it all happened at once, but the truth is, it did not happen at once. It happened in God's time, and his time just entered yours. What looks like acceleration is actually alignment. It is the moment when all the moving parts, the ones you could see, and the countless ones you couldn't lock into place. God is not scrambling at the last minute. He has been quietly moving pieces on the board, aligning you with people, places, and opportunities you didn't even know you needed. And here's the astonishing thing. Sometimes even your mistakes, delays, and detours were part of the alignment. That job you didn't get, that relationship that ended, that door that slammed shut, they were not interruptions to your destiny, but redirections toward the appointed suddenly. But here is the test. Will you trust the slowness before the suddenness, because that's the hardest part? The slow season feels endless. It feels like God is silent, like heaven has turned its face away. You see others moving forward, and you wonder why you're still standing still. Yet in truth you are not still, you are moving toward the exact place where suddenly will meet you, and when it meets you, you will understand why it had to take the time it did. Every unanswered prayer in the past will be reframed in the light of the answered prayer before you. Every disappointment will be revealed as a setup for something better. Every tear will be shown as water for the seed that has now blossomed before your eyes. The certainty of God suddenly is something you can anchor your soul in even now. It is not a matter of if, but when, and because it is certain, you can rest. You don't have to pace the floor, wondering if God has forgotten you. You don't have to manipulate circumstances or force doors open. You don't have to panic when time passes and nothing seems to move. You can stand in quiet assurance, knowing that the same God who brought light into the world with a single word is the same God who will bring your breakthrough into reality with one decisive moment. And when that moment comes, nothing and no one will be able to stop it. This is why it's important to stay ready even in seasons that feel slow. The suddenly will not give you time to prepare. Preparation happens in the waiting. You must be ready to step into the opportunity when it arrives, because it will not knock twice in the same way. God will not bring you to a moment of destiny only for you to say, "I'm not ready yet." He works in such a way that by the time the blessing appears, you are already equipped to carry it. This is why he works on your character, your patience, your faith, and your vision in the slow seasons, because the fast season will require strength to match its speed. And when it happens, you will find yourself speaking with a different kind of confidence, not the confidence of someone who thinks they earned it, but the quiet strength of someone who knows it was always meant to be. You will tell your story, and others will marvel at how quickly things turned around, but you will smile because you know the years that went into that overnight change. You will tell them that what looks like magic is actually the manifestation of God's timing, and you will testify that his timing is always perfect, not early, not late, but right on time. So do not despise the waiting, because the waiting is the womb of the suddenly. Let your heart rest in the knowledge that God is not late. Let your faith hold to the truth that the speed of your blessing will not be determined by human schedules, but by heavenly certainty. And when it comes, it will come like a river breaking through a dam, unstoppable, undeniable, and overwhelming. And in that moment you will weep, not because you doubted God, but because the reality before your eyes will be even greater than the vision you carried in your heart. You will realize that it always was certain, but now it has become your living, breathing reality. And as you stand there in the middle of it, the only words left will be, "It happened suddenly, but it was always sure." The pain was the proof you were close. There is a strange and often overlooked truth about the moments just before breakthrough. They are often the hardest, heaviest, and most painful seasons you will ever endure. It is not because God has abandoned you, nor because the promise is slipping away, but precisely because you are standing at the threshold of fulfillment. The pressure intensifies at the point of birthing, not at the point of conception. Any mother will tell you that the final hours before delivery are the most exhausting, the most painful, and the most demanding, yet they are also the most certain evidence that new life is about to appear. And so it is with your spiritual journey. The ache in your heart, the weight in your spirit, the battles that seem to come at you from every direction, these are not signs you have failed. They are signs you are close. Heaven's clock is nearing the appointed hour, and the resistance you feel is the pressure of transition. You are being pushed, not to crush you, but to propel you into what has already been prepared. The pain is not punishment, it is proof. Think of the times in your life when you almost gave up, only to later discover that your breakthrough was right around the corner. The enemy fights the fiercest when he knows his grip is about to break. The darkness grows thickest just before the first light of dawn. This is not poetic coincidence. It is the nature of the spiritual realm. The closer you get to the moment of fulfillment, the more the unseen forces of resistance press against you, not because they can stop what God has ordained they cannot, but because they hope to make you quit before you see it. They want to convince you that the pain means you are losing, when in fact it is the final contraction before the delivery of your promise. That is why it is essential to reinterpret the meaning of your pain. Instead of seeing it as the end, see it as the signal that you are nearer than you think. This is where many miss it. They take the pain as a sign to stop, to retreat, to settle for less. They let weariness dictate their decisions and forfeit the very thing they have been praying for. But if you could see from God's perspective, you would understand that this pressure is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to shape you for the very blessing you are about to receive. Pain has a way of stripping away what cannot enter the next season with you: the doubt, the fear, the pride, the dependency on others' approval. It refines your vision and strengthens your faith so that when the promise comes, you will not crumble under the weight of it. The pain is proof you are being positioned, not punished. God often allows this final stretch of testing because he knows that once the blessing arrives, you will see that every tear was worth it. The same valley that made you question him will become the story that makes others believe him. The nights you spent wondering if you could go on will be the testimony that tells someone else they can. You may not realize it now, but this very pain is part of the preparation, and without it, you would not be ready to carry the fullness of what is coming. The breakthrough is not just about receiving something new, it is about becoming someone new, and that transformation often requires pressure. It is also important to recognize that the pain you feel now is not only your own, it is also the stretching of your capacity to hold what is coming. Sometimes God allows you to walk through seasons where you feel emptied out because he is making room for a blessing greater than you imagined. This emptiness can feel like loss, but it is really space being cleared for abundance. Imagine a cup already filled to the brim with old water. In order to pour in something fresh and pure, the old must be emptied. The pouring out is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. The proof that you are close is in how intense the opposition has become. It is in how relentless the thoughts of quitting have been. It is in how much the pressure has increased in every area at once. You may have noticed that battles are no longer isolated, they come in waves, hitting your finances, your relationships, your health, and your mind all at once. This is not random, it is targeted. The closer you are to the threshold, the more the opposition hopes to make you too weary to step through the door. That is why, in this moment, the greatest victory you can achieve is simply to keep standing. Do not underestimate the power of endurance. Sometimes the only thing separating you from the promise is the decision to outlast the pressure. And here is the beautiful twist: the very pain meant to break you is often what births the strength you will need to handle the blessing. When you reach the other side, you will find yourself more resilient, more discerning, and more anchored in your faith than ever before. You will carry not just the blessing, but the wisdom to protect it. You will see that the pain was not random, it was tailored to prepare you for what was on its way. The enemy does not fight empty battles, and God does not waste difficult seasons. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "What is this birthing in me?" That shift in perspective will keep you from despair and position you for hope. Because make no mistake, this pain has an expiration date. It will not last forever. In fact, the very intensity of it is a sign that it is about to end. Just as labor does not last forever, the contractions you are feeling in your spirit are only temporary, but the life they bring forth will be permanent. You are being stretched to meet the size of your promise, and once it comes, you will understand why it had to feel this way. When the breakthrough finally arrives, you will remember this season differently. The nights you cried yourself to sleep will become sacred markers of the path that led you here. The days you almost gave up will be the stories you tell with a smile, because they remind you of how far you've come. You will thank God not only for the blessing but for the strength He forged in you through the pain. You will see that the pressure was not a sign that God had abandoned you, but that He was closer than ever, guiding you through the narrow passage into your destiny. So, take courage in the middle of this season. If the pain is great, it is because the promise is greater. If the pressure is heavy, it is because what you are carrying is weighty in glory. Do not despise the contractions. They are pushing you toward the moment when everything will change. Keep your eyes fixed, not on the struggle, but on the joy set before you. For soon the pain will give way to celebration, and you will stand in the place you once only dreamed of, holding in your hands what you once carried only in your heart. And in that moment you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt the pain was not just worth it. It was the undeniable proof that you were close all along. When it happens, you will weep differently. There is a kind of weeping that only comes when the weight of long-awaited prayers finally meets the reality of fulfillment, a deep, trembling release where every moment of pain, every unanswered question, and every lonely night collapses into overwhelming presence of answered promise. These are not the tears of frustration you've cried in the midnight hours, clutching your chest under the heaviness of when, Lord. These are the tears that fall when you realize you are standing inside the very thing you once thought might never come. They will stream down your face without shame, because in that moment the only language your soul will know is gratitude. This is the weeping that comes when you see God's faithfulness, not as a verse you read or a sermon you heard, but as a living reality that now surrounds you. You will remember the days when you almost let go, when your faith wavered, and yet here you are, holding the evidence that His word never returns void. And as those tears fall, they will wash away the last traces of doubt that ever dared to whisper He wouldn't come through. You will not cry the way you did in the waiting. Those tears were heavy with longing, uncertainty, and the ache of not yet. These tears will be light not in meaning, but in burden. They will not be born of lack, but of fullness. It is the kind of weeping that comes when the weight of His goodness is so great it bends you to your knees. You will feel a softness in your spirit that only comes after walking through seasons where your heart had to become strong just to survive. And now, in the safety of His fulfilled promise, you will find yourself becoming tender again, because the war you fought in faith has ended in victory. These tears will carry both relief and awe-relief that the battle is over. Awe that it ended in a way so much greater than you had dared to imagine. In that moment, the memory of your journey will flash before your eyes, the closed doors that frustrated you, the detours that confused you, the silence that tested you. You will see them differently now. What once looked like delays will appear as perfect alignments. What once felt like rejection will be revealed as protection. The very paths you resented will be the ones you now thank Him for, because they led you here. And with every tear that falls, you will sense Him whisper, "See, I was with you all along." These will be the tears of recognition, the recognition that you were never abandoned, that even in your lowest valley, He was orchestrating your steps toward this very place. You will also notice something remarkable in this moment. The pain you endured will lose its sting. You will remember it, yes, but it will be transformed. It will no longer be a wound. It will be a scar you carry with honor. The tears you cry now will not come from reliving the pain, but from realizing the purpose it carried. You will understand that the crushing was necessary for the fragrance of your testimony to be released. Every trial, every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer was a seed planted in the soil of your destiny, and now you are standing in the harvest, and the harvest is so abundant, so breathtaking, that your tears will be the overflow of a heart too full to contain the joy. Others will see your blessing and perhaps assume it came easily. They will not know the cost, the prayers, the hidden battles, but you will know, and that knowing will make the moment even sweeter. It is not just about what you receive. It is about who you became on the way here. You will weep because you know you are not the same person who first prayed for this. You are stronger, wiser, and more anchored in Him than you ever imagined possible. The fulfillment is beautiful, but the transformation is priceless. These tears will be a private conversation between you and God, a language no one else fully understands, because only He knows the depth of what it took for you to get here. And yet, your tears will not just be for yourself. They will also flow for those still in the waiting, because you will remember what it felt like to be there. You will weep for the ones who feel forgotten, for the ones who are fighting to believe in the silence. Your victory will stir compassion in you, not pride, because you will know firsthand that this is not something you earned by your own strength. It was grace, pure grace, that carried you through. And in that moment, your tears will turn into prayers for others, that they too will hold on long enough to see their own moment come. You will become a living witness that God's timing is worth trusting, that His promises are worth believing, and that no amount of waiting is wasted. These tears will also carry a kind of holy fear, not fear of loss, but fear in the sense of reverence. You will stand in awe of the fact that the Creator of the universe not only heard your prayer, but wove His eternal power into the fabric of your personal story. You will feel small and yet more seen than ever before. And in that reverence, you will know that this blessing was never just for you. It was given to you so that through you, others might come to believe in His goodness. Your tears will be the first offering of gratitude you pour out in response to His faithfulness. In the days that follow, you may still find yourself weeping at unexpected moments, walking into the home you prayed for, hearing the laughter of the child you once only dreamed of, holding the hand of the person you thought you had lost, stepping into the job or calling you once feared was out of reach. These everyday moments will catch you off guard, because the reality of answered prayer has a way of sneaking up on you, even after you've received it. And every time it happens, it will take you back to the truth. You serve a God who finishes what He starts. The difference now is that your tears will not be a cry for something to come. They will be a testimony that it came, and it came in a way that exceeded your asking. They will be tears of worship, and they will flow easily, because when you have seen the faithfulness of God firsthand, gratitude becomes your default response. You will no longer have to force your faith. It will rise naturally because you have lived the evidence. So when it happens, and it will, do not hold back your tears. Let them fall. Let them be the visible proof of an invisible journey that only you and God fully know. Let them sanctify the moment, marking it as holy. Because you will look back on that day for the rest of your life and remember not just what you received, but how it felt to stand in the place where prayer became reality. You will remember the sound of your own sobs mingled with laughter, the way your knees felt weak under the weight of joy, the way your heart seemed to expand beyond your chest. You will remember thinking, "This is it, this is what I waited for, this is what I held on for." And you will know, without a trace of doubt, that every delay, every disappointment, every season of emptiness was worth it. Yes, when it happens, you will weep differently, and those tears will be your song, your altar, your offering, a sound heaven understands well. They will tell the story without words. God kept His promise.